Coming up on Central News tonight, beach volleyball at the Mount this summer. The house that science built, the country want a piece of the pie, and stomping feet make for Christmas lights. Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Friday, December the 12th. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Earlier this week, we spoke with the New Zealand's #1 women's beach volleyball team about their car troubles that were causing a few problems. Julia, you are currently New Zealand's #1 women's team for beach volleyball. How have you guys reached that status?
Well, I started playing with Shauna about 3 years ago. I've been playing for quite a while already, and we just got together. We had a lot of passion for the game, and coupled with our competitive nature, I think we just kind of started from there, and we had a really dominant season and went to the top of the New Zealand scene pretty quickly. And then since then, I think we've just kept going and put in lots of hard work and training and all those sorts of things, and just kept trying to regain that title and keep it going.
So how did you guys meet then 3 years ago?
Julia and I, we played in the same indoor volleyball team. Julia, her original partner was from the South Island and couldn't make it to one of the tournaments, and I'd never really played much beach volleyball before, but Julia just asked me if I'd be interested in playing with her. So I kind of was like, Julia's really good, I'll do it. So I played with her and we won our first tournament, so that was pretty cool. And the next weekend we won again, and then the next weekend we won again, and Julia was kind of like, this is a good thing, we should keep this going, and so I just took off from there.
Is it quite different going from indoor to sand?
Yes and no. Yeah, there's obviously with the beach there's a lot more conditions and variables, so there's the sand and the wind. Beach volleyball requires a lot more control, and there's a few other rule changes with it.
I think only 2 people on the court, so there's a lot more
accountable. You're a lot more accountable for.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there many ankle injuries? That's all I think about when I think about playing on the sand.
Actually, surprisingly, from indoor I did my ankle probably about 3 or 4 times, and I had to get it reconstructed. But on the sand it's actually really supportive, because you kind of go down, and then if you go to roll it, the sand kind of supports it, and then your body corrects. So there's actually surprisingly not that many more indoor on the hard surface, I think.
Yeah, surprising. Now, where have your guys' season has started? So where have you competed so far?
Well, we started off in October. We competed in North Harbour. There's a tournament up there. We then travelled all the way down to Gisborne. From there, we were fortunate enough to travel over to Manly, Australia, where we competed in the Oceania Champs and the Manly State Tour. So that was a really good way to start off our season. We then came from the 35-degree heat over in Manly straight down to Invercargill in the 10-degree heat, cold, where we got to play there, and then we were straight back up to the Mount last weekend competing.
Wow, you guys are getting around.
Yeah, that's for sure.
No, because you went to Invercargill and you had to play indoors.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
It was a bit different. I've never played indoors before, and it was actually, the southernmost volleyball tournament ever held. So that was quite exciting. But in the velodrome there, they just dumped a whole lot of sand, about 4 courts. So it was really exciting, and they had a really good vibe. And they actually did turn on the heaters for us, so it wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Especially coming from 35 degrees.
Yeah,
it was a bit of a struggle.
Quite an odd situation, I imagine. Sand and 10 degrees.
Yeah, sand indoors and then going out to hail.
Yeah, it's definitely something very unique for all us beach volleyballers.
Yeah.
It was really good competing in the South Island though, that just exposing the sport more and getting to play down there. And we did a camp with some of the kids down there, and they were just really loving the sport, so it was really cool.
Yeah, you'd have to watch out for the seals and the penguins though, on South Island beaches. So what does a typical training week look like for you guys?
In season, we are very busy. We try to base ourselves at Mount Maunganui, where we train twice a day on the sand, 2 hours a session, so it can get very tiring just being in the sand and the sun all day. Pre-season, we're in the gym a lot, so we're nearly every day of the week trying to do some gym and cardio, building up for the season.
Is it quite a lot of cardio that goes into volleyball, especially beach volleyball, because you're kind of bouncing off that?
Yeah, I think you don't really realise until you haven't played for a while, and then you get back on the sand, you're like, this is so hard. But I think once you get used to it, it's a lot easier. But it is a lot of cardio. Yeah, I think you get a lot of cardio out of just playing and training and just being on the sand. So that's one of the positives, that you just get fit from just playing the sport, obviously, yeah.
Do you guys go through a lot of sunscreen? I mean, a lot of us wouldn't go to the beach every single day and be out in the sun that long. That must be so much more tiring, and heat exhaustion and all those kind of things that go with it.
Well, if you can tell, I'm pretty pasty, so I'm not the typical tan beach volleyball player. So yeah, all day, every day, I'm just lathering on the sunscreen, so we do go through a lot.
Yeah, a lot. The spray ones are handy.
Yeah.
Because it's like, Shauna, you do my back, Shauna.
But I mean, do you guys get heat exhaustion out there? I suppose you're athletes, so
yeah. I think it's just being smart in between games, because the actual game you're only on for like max an hour, so it's just in between getting in the shade.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to wear a hat and stuff like that.
Keeping hydrated.
Yes.
Now, up until recently, when you're not on the beach and you're in the shade of your car, you were struggling to get around, and you had a little bit of a mishap on the Kaimai Ranges, I hear.
That was my car, dear Pearl. Yes, we had a breakdown over the Kaimais, and so the 1.5 hour trip turned into a 7-hour trip on the way home. And we just tried. It was on a Sunday, so we rang AA, and they were like, it's going to take us, we have to pick you up tomorrow because there's no one on service, and so we tried to just push on through.
The car was smoking everywhere, and we're just like, it's all good, we'll just keep going, and slowly it just kind of putted over to the side of the road. We were lucky enough to get some people to pull over and help us. What'd they get us? Some water and oil, but it didn't help too much. But we continued on down the Kaimais, just going like, 15 k's an hour, all the way home. Just all the way back to Hamilton. We just trudged along, we'd pull over and we'd have to refill our water cap because it had split, and so the water was leaking.
Good time.
Oh dear. And I mean, it sounds like you guys get around a lot, and you're fit, but I don't know if running to Invercargill is going to be...
Especially after a whole day of training, not ideal.
Yeah.
Carry the building stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And running over the Kaimais might be a bit long, but...
Might be pushing it.
Yeah. So, actually got a new car though.
Yes, we're very, very lucky. We got a new Suzuki Swift at the moment to get us around for the summer, so we are very happy about that. Travelling in style. Yeah, we got, so after our little incident, we had a few friends who found out about it and thought that wasn't really good enough. So, Anne-Marie actually helped us out and got in touch with some people at Nicholson Motors, lovely people, who came to our need and, sponsored us a car and with Suzuki. And, they've helped us out for the summer, which we're very grateful for.
Make sure you follow the Girls' Journey on their Facebook page. Just go to facebook.com/Tilly Polly Beach Volley. Next on Central News, the house that science built. Welcome back to Central News on TV Central. Launched in Tauranga 12 months ago, the House of Science has been so successful that other parts of the country want a slice of the action. I spoke with director Chris Duggan about the House of Science's spread across the nation.
No, well, obviously the model we've got here is just hitting the mark, not just here, but words getting out in a few different places around the country have approached me. I haven't gone looking for this, but said, how can we have a replica of what you're doing in our part of the country? And initially, I guess Manawatu were the first to approach us, and I said, yeah, sure, here you go, fill your boots. But the board very quickly reined me in and said, no, we can't do that because we need to protect our brand, our name. We've had to get the IP lawyers involved. We've got a trademark now, so House of Science is a registered trademarked name. And we've drawn up a licence, so there's now 3 people that have purchased those licences to start a House of Science next year. And the first one is the Manawatu, like I said. It's going to be run by a couple. They're employing a educational scientist specialist person, and it's run under their brand of Active Minds Aotearoa, and it's still going to be called a House of Science, and it's going to be based in Te Manawa, which is the Palmerston North City Council's art museum and used to be science centre but hasn't for a while, so it's going to be based there. So that's really exciting. Whakatane are also starting next year through the REAP program and facility they've got in Whakatane, and the Hutt Valley is the other one. So yeah, very exciting.
All the way down in Manawatu, how on earth did they find out about House of Science?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Mark and Erin, who are setting it up, just stumbled across it on the internet, really. Stumbled across the website, rang me up, and a couple of weeks later came up and had a long visit here with me, and we're just really excited about the possibilities, and yeah, the rest is history.
How did it work? Did other areas just see the House of Science and say, we need one of those in our town?
Yeah, often they've already been thinking that there's a gap there, that there's a need for more resources for connecting the community in that science realm. And when they've done the research and seen that we're already doing it here, they say, well, why recreate what you've already got and a model that's working. So yeah, that's how it's kind of happened.
You've been set up a year. Looking back a year ago, did you see this happening?
Oh, nowhere near, no. I mean, in my wildest dreams, I might have thought this might happen after 5 or 10 years, but not so quickly and not so fast and not so big. So it's been, a bit like riding the wave and just, I can't quite believe it. I'm blown away, but very excited too.
Your motto is resourcing and connecting the local science community. Will the other areas have to abide by that kind of a deal?
Yeah, for them to be able to call themselves a House of Science, that's got to be their bottom line as well. That's exactly what we're about. So we've found that the backbone of our operation has been our resource library, the boxes of gear that go out to primary schools. That's proven extremely popular, and so that's what they have to offer as well, to be allowed to call themselves a House of Science. So they will have a science kit library. As well as that, they have to have some way of connecting the local science community. So in Tauranga, that's regular professional development for teachers, where I get speakers in from industry. It might look slightly different in different parts of the country, as long as they've got a way of regularly running a program that connects, connects the community somehow in that science sphere.
What is actually in one of these resource kits?
All right, so I've got 21 of them at the moment, 18 different ones, and then some double ups. Each one caters for curriculum level 1 through to 3, so that's everything from 5-year-olds through to 12-year-olds, so the whole primary school is catered for. And inside is the science equipment to do experiments for a whole class of kids, so there'll be 10 of everything, so a box with all the equipment, whether it be chemicals, test tube racks, whatever's needed for those experiments, and then there'll be 10 of those boxes so that kids can work in groups. There's laminated worksheets for the kids to use to guide them through, and there's a teacher manual as well, which is written for people who know no science at all. So they're designed to be real self-sufficient. Teachers don't have to come and do training beforehand. Anyone could take a box and run a science lesson or a week of science lessons with the box. Yep.
Why did you want to start this House of Science?
There's such a need for, especially primary schools, primary teachers, to have resources and to give them the confidence to do science. I found when I was teaching in the secondary sector that kids coming into secondary school, by and large, had no or very little science knowledge and science experiences when they got to secondary school. For a lot of them, it was too late by then. They already had a preconceived idea that science was not for them or was too hard. So there's a real, just such a need for science experiences to be available to kids in the primary years. But also the secondary students, especially locally, weren't aware of the science career opportunities here in the Bay of Plenty. So I wanted to make them more aware of that. So that's where the connecting the local industries comes into it.
What does that motto mean to you, resourcing and connecting local science community?
Yeah, so it's about getting everyone who operates in that science realm, whether it's a preschool teacher or a researcher at the university, to talk to each other and to be aware of what the needs are, where the local flavour is when it comes to science. We've got incredible things happening here in the Bay. Marine science, we've got in Rotorua, we've got freshwater science, we've got a whole lot of horticulture obviously happening, and a lot of our local kids aren't aware of that. So it's breaking down those barriers, it's getting them to talk to each other, it's finding ways of just connecting everyone, and just for the betterment of the whole of society really, and our economy's got a benefit too.
What is one of the biggest misconceptions that you've come across about science?
It's too hard. I think that's a really common thing. Teachers find it scary if they're not from a science background or haven't been science trained, whereas in reality science is everywhere. It's the world we live in is a scientific world. And it's being able to put the science glasses on, I guess, to look at that world. That's what the nature of science is all about, and that's what we're trying to get kids to see, that scientists aren't just people they aren't people who solve all the problems. They're people who look at the world in a certain way and then try and come up with some answers or some explanations of why the world works like that, ultimately for the betterment of society.
So where can a career in science lead us?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, just about every career has some science in it, but the obvious ones are, your health sciences, including veterinary, but also engineering. And I think these days, with the emphasis we have on our primary industries needed to add value to the primary industry, we need innovative, out-of-the-box kind of thinkers who have a firm scientific background, but also can apply that in different scenarios. So. The future of New Zealand depends on it, as far as I'm concerned.
If you'd like to find out more, or perhaps you're a teacher who would like to book one of the resource kits, you can do so online at houseofscience.org.nz. Up next on Central News, stomping feet make for Christmas lights. Welcome back to Central News. Teaming up with PaveGen, an innovative clean tech company, special flooring that converts kinetic energy from human footfall into renewable electricity has been brought to New Zealand and debuted at Bay Fair.
Right, ladies, you've just done a magnificent performance. I was quite impressed with the throwing around. Is it quite scary, throwing people around like that?
Yeah, because you've got to make sure that you catch them, otherwise you drop them.
Have you had some falls before?
Well, actually, yes, we dropped our flyer and we let Big Blue catch them. That's what we call our sprung floor.
So I bet it's a lot easier when you've actually got nice floors to fall on, isn't it?
Definitely.
So, because to here today, you guys were actually trying to light up the Christmas tree with the electric current that's going through the floor. I don't know all the technical stuff of how it works. So was it quite fun though, performing in front of some people for a change instead of training at the gym?
Yeah, it was really fun. I think we sort of feed off the crowd, so it was fun, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Bay Twisters.
Well, we're a non-profit cheerleading club, which means that we don't we put all the money back into the gym instead of keeping it for ourselves.
Now, why cheerleading? What on earth made you think, you know what, I want to go there and get thrown around?
Well, I started off with gymnastics, and I used to be quite interested in dance, and then cheerleading is a bit of dance, tumbling and stunts, so it's a bit of everything, so it's quite fun.
It is a bit of both, isn't it? It's a bit of gymnastics and dance mixed together. Was it the movie Bring It On that inspired you to start?
No, actually my friend, she got me into it because I went to one of her training sessions and then I freaked out, oh my god, I want to do this, and so I signed up.
Because you guys competed at the Nationals recently and you placed very, very well, didn't you?
Yeah, it was pretty fun, because it was a 2-day comp, and the first day we came third, but the second day we, stuff happened and we ended up coming fourth, but we were still really proud of ourselves, it was Nationals, so we did quite well.
How do you train for this? I mean, what are you going to do? Jump and 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 flip and flip and flip? What else do you do? Well,
we do stuff called full routines, which means we do absolutely everything in our routine, and we just do that over and over and over again, and it gets quite tough.
Yeah. And we also do conditioning to build up our strength so we don't drop our people.
Yeah.
That's very clever to do that. But that's the thing, isn't it? It is a really respectable, true sport. It is. There is a lot of athleticism that's actually to it, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Have you got to have a lot of fitness, like a lot of cardio, do you think?
Yeah. Quite a bit. Like,
Because
you got to go through
like everything and full out, and it's just like gets really tiring. And if you're not fit enough, then you'll like collapse.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do it out there. One, I don't want to be thrown around, and two, I'm not fit enough.
Well, we can get you fit.
Great. Next week we'll start, eh?
Yeah.
Now for our weather for Saturday. Looking to the seas now to see what our Saturday's going to be like. That is Central News for today and this week. If there's something coming up in your community or you think there's an issue that we should probably know about here at Central News, you can contact us via our Facebook page, centralnews.tv, or email us news@tvcentral.co.nz. Join Anne-Marie and I next week for more stories from the Waikato and the Bay of Plenty. Until then, I'm Hilary Entwistle. I hope you have a lovely evening and a fantastic weekend.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.